We are here with the 2024 Honda Talon 1000R-4. We've been having a great time with this rig. We've had it in the shop for about a month. We've taken it to our local trails. We've bombed around in it. We have thoroughly tested this machine, but the thing that we have not done is get numbers on it. So today, we're gonna change that. We are gonna put it on our RTI ramp and see how much flex you can expect from the Honda Talon. Now, the RTI ramp, for those of you who don't remember, stands for Ramp Travel Index, basically a numerical measure of flex. You drive the driver's side front tire up the ramp until a back tire comes off the ground. Then you measure that distance, you divide that distance by the rig's wheelbase, multiply by 1,000, and you get a 3-digit numerical score, and that tells you how well the rig flexes. You can compare it to other machines. The last Honda Talon we did a 556. Now, for some reference, an amazing score is anything over 700. A bad score is anything 350 or below. So let's see how this sucker does.
But before we do that, let's play a little game. How about a little Price is Right? We've tested Talons before, we've tested 4-seaters before, we've never tested a Talon 4-seater on the ramp, so let's guess some scores. What do you think it's gonna do?
The last 2-seater we had did a 556. I expect a little bit better from the 4-seater. I'm gonna do a 590. I'm gonna say 590.
590.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
so
I'm optimistic.
Let's see. What did the KRX4 do? The KRX4 a 585. KRX4 did a 585. So we think this is gonna be better or worse than a KRX4?
I think it's gonna be better. I like the live valve. Yeah, I'm sticking with that. 590. What do you think? Come
570.
on. 570.
570.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we got a nice bracket.
You can't go over. You can't go over.
No.
You want to change your answer?
No, 590. Let's do it.
All right, get your lid on. Let's find out.
All right, let's go.
All right, so just to recap, this thing's gonna go up that ramp, and the first second it lifts a tire, we're gonna back that tire back down until it's hitting on the ground, then we'll take a measurement. That's how we're gonna get our score. We've already set our tire pressures to the factory recommended pressures. That's 20 PSI in the front, 18 in the rear. Tire pressures are super important. We've got a video on just how much that can change a score. All that's gonna be dialed. Since this has multiple suspension settings, we're gonna try it in normal, we're gonna try it in sport, get the best possible setting we can get.
I'm ready, let's do it.
Back just a scope, up right there. Pretty good, pretty good.
That feels pretty good. That feels pretty flexy. Are we flexing?
We're flexing.
I'm liking my answer.
You liking the answer?
I'm liking my answer.
Call it 61 5/16.
A few moments later.
That was pretty good.
That was not bad. That felt pretty flexy.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good about my choice.
Okay.
I think I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay, you want to know the score?
Yeah, I want to know the score. They want to know the
They
score.
want to know the score. It's 5/16.
What?
So the interesting thing there is that's almost exactly what the 1000X got, the 2-seat 1000X got.
Was that a live valve? I can't remember.
No, that was not a live valve.
So the standard 2-seat, okay, all right. Okay.
So that feels pretty good. I think what's surprising here is this is the 1000R.
Right.
So this is the one that's made for the desert.
Right.
It's made for going out and ripping around.
This is the wide boy.
And what we found is the high-speed units, the units that are made for ripping around in the desert, don't do that well typically.
No, not in the RTI test. That's not what they're for. Yeah. But I gotta say, this was in normal mode, so that's your flexiest mode. And on paper is one thing. We have had this thing in the rocks plenty. It does really well. It feels really planted. And I gotta say, I've been up that RTI ramp a time or two. It can feel pretty puckery, and I was more than comfortable sitting in here. You know, I would not have guessed when you told me to go back that I had lifted a wheel yet. So, nice. I mean, that's a mark in the Honda's column, even though the numerical score, you know, maybe isn't as high as I thought.
You know, a 5/16 is pretty solid middle of the pack.
That's right in the middle.
Nothing to be embarrassed about.
No. And again, we said 700 is exceptional, 350 is bad. We're way above bad. So.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. All right, well, let's, I am curious to know if changing it to sport on the live valve changes anything at all. So
yeah, let's see. All right, before we get on to the second part of the RTI ramp test, I need you to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us out so much. It lets our bosses know how well we're doing, and it makes sure that you see every one of our videos as soon as they drop. We're on YouTube every week with more content like this. And then head over to our social media channels. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We'll see you there.
Nope, right there. It's identical. Maybe slightly worse. 60 7/8.
Feels the same from up here.
Does it?
Yeah, it's less than an inch.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so That only hurt us by about less than an inch.
Less than an inch.
Yeah, 60 3/4 up the ramp. So, you know, drop the score to about a 512, somewhere around there.
All right.
So, you know, marginal. And that makes sense, right? You're not
Yeah.
changing geometry, you're not changing spring rate, any of that fun stuff. You're literally just changing what the shocks can do and how quickly they
You're
do it.
stiffening up the damping, so yeah, it might flex a little less quickly. It felt the same.
Yeah.
I mean, same level of confidence, same level of flex. I really didn't even notice it being that much stiffer, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
So, cool. All right.
Rock and roll.
Good work, Talon.
Yeah, dude.
Sorry about the score. What do you win?
I don't have to wash this thing.
That is it for our RTI ramp test on the 2023 Honda Talon 1000R-4. This thing did great. It's not the highest scoring rig we've ever seen, but you know what it scored better than, Zach? It scored better than a Polaris RZR Pro R Ultimate with Dynamics suspension. That is wild to me.
Yeah, well, like we were saying, right? An open class rig, a desert rig, they typically don't perform as well on an RTI test. And that typically is because they have more sway bars front and rear. A rear sway bar specifically will hinder you on an RTI test. This one does have a rear. Yeah, I gotta say, this thing did remarkably well. Honda should be proud of how this thing performed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I gotta say, it felt really stable going up the ramp. I mentioned it earlier. Sometimes the ramp's a little puckery. In this thing, it was not. And it got the same or pretty much level scores, whether it was in sport mode or normal mode. So you put the live valve in stiff or trail, everything is pretty much the same. You are going to have a good time in the rocks or the desert in this rig. I think that wraps us up.
Absolutely. So keep in mind, we RTI test every vehicle that comes through the shop. We have a full list of everything and how everything's performed. Head over to utvdriver.com to check that out. We also have buyer's guides, news, reviews, galleries 5 days out of the week. You can also catch us on all of our social media channels. We'll see you there.
Ramp test on the 2023 Honda Talon 1000R-4.
1000 what? Must be nice. Be douche.
Free real estate.